Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pail, steel toe boots.
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure.
Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jaylen.
Can I close it, John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
I'll tell you what we're apologizing for, Jimmy.
Everything?
Foolishness.
Foolishness. You know what I'm going to apologize for? Thinking that these guys were going to show up to work today. I'm sorry. I thought they were going to work today. They weren't. The hard hat doesn't touch this head after a performance like we saw tonight. It's too bad.
So we're apologizing. Yeah.
We need to scrub the film from game one's post-game show.
We let them do it to us again, which is they come out, stomp a team that clearly looks like they don't have the personnel to match up with them.
I was wearing the hard hat tonight. Go on.
And we did it. We did it again. So we're starting the show in an apology.
We did it again. Yeah, it's actually fair. We rarely apologize for anything because rarely do we need to. It's not how apology came.
I only apologize for thinking that for allowing these guys to fool me again.
I'm apologizing for them, to be honest. I'm apologizing for the Celtics players and staff that nice cracking a beer. Love that. For tricking us. You know what it is, John? Shame on them. Shame on them.
The amount of people that say like I'm drunk every game, like I don't.
I get that a lot.
But you drink. I don't drink anymore.
A lot of people say that Jimmy's high all the time.
Oh, I'm high. I don't drink though.
What do you mean you drink? Jules, you drink. You drink. Jules, you drink. I don't drink on the weekdays. Sometimes on the weekends. Weekend warrior. But it's bad for you. Don't do it.
It's bad for you. You know what else is bad for you?
Watching this game. Sitting there.
Being a fan of this team and watching this game.
Being a fan of this team is tough. And you wouldn't know it unless you were one. But only if you were one to the point where you weren't in denial about it all. Like there are some fans who still think it's great to be a fan of this team. I can't figure those people out. It's been a roller coaster, and mostly it's been like not a fun roller coaster, I feel like, in a lot of situations. But yeah. But we've all been here before. This happened this happened last series to an extent. They totally flopped.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with this comment. We are.
Well, not all of us, but some.
Sherrod's an enabler.
A lot of us. Sherrod is not an enabler. Come on. What's up, Sherrod?
What's up, fellas? What's going on?
Sherrod's got a jersey of himself just hanging behind. That is a baller move right there.
No. Sherrod's also got a little lean going on right now.
Sherrod's got a jersey of himself. I need
that.
one of those. I need that too.
She plays for the University of Colorado. Her last name is Sherrod.
Really?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Well,
we're not related.
Close enough.
Well, everyone in the chat is asking for rage.
You have a jersey for yourself.
It's coming. It's coming. It's a slow burn.
Rage is building.
You got the rage after this one?
It's not the rage. It's again the angry versus disappointment thing. Here's what I'm angry about. Here's what I'm angry about. I'm angry for the enablers. I'm angry for the people that ignore things that are issues and act like it's not a big deal. Everything is a big deal. Okay? And yeah, it's going to be a lot about Tatum tonight. Doesn't mean other guys didn't. Holiday, yeah. You want a little more there. White had a cold game. That stinks a little bit. Starts top down. When you have a low effort game and a low energy game, it starts at the top. And they were not an engaged team tonight. And they were not. We can talk about the individual flaws and what everybody did, but they played soft tonight and they didn't care. And there's a couple moments that really stand out to me. We'll get into those a little bit as well. But I want to get everybody's thoughts before we go jumping all over the place. Cause like I said, Tatum's going to catch some shit. Other people will as well. Before we do all that, I just want to tell people briefly that the Garden Report, as always, is brought to you by Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. We loves us some Prize Picks. I think Bobby went more on Tatum. I don't think he got there. I think Bobby had hope. Bobby was hoping. I don't think Tatum got there.
He's the less pick.
And you know what? Game time. Hey, you want to see this soft-ass team play their home game? They're coming back to the Garden at least for one. 5. Okay? So go do that. Go check it out with the best mobile ticket marketplace app out there, and that is Game Time. Also now a proud sponsor of the CLNS Media
You
Network.
can watch the Celtics get eliminated.
You can watch Celtics get
Game
eliminated in 5.
Damn.
We said it was over in 5. We said
We
it
did
was
say it
over
was
in
over
5.
in 5.
And yeah. And that's that. So, Sherrod, I'll start with you. Just your primary takeaways here before I rant about Tatum for 2.5 hours.
Well, it felt like, even though the calendar says it's May 9th, it felt like this was December 9th, because this is how you play in December. It felt as though they were just kind of going through the motions, that this was another one of 82 on the schedule. And, we can find a way to win this thing. And if we don't, well, we've got lots of season left to play. There just wasn't a sense of urgency on the Celtics' part at any point. I thought when Tatum had the 3-point play and then Brown came back with the 3-point play and it was a 1-point game, I was thinking, okay, this is the wake-up call they needed. They're about to go on a run. And then I think Cleveland scored 6 straight or 7 straight, and then Joe Mazzulla calls a timeout. This was a game in which the Celtics just didn't play with the kind of force that you need to play. And I give Cleveland a lot of credit. Cleveland made some really good adjustments. They made Evan Mobley a bigger part of what they do. They had more ball movement. They weren't as Donovan Mitchell driven offensively. They got others involved. They did a lot of the things that you're supposed to do. And again, this may come from the school of enabling, but Cleveland played maybe the best game they've played in the playoffs all season. I mean, Karis LeVert had 21 points. John, he had 23 in the last 4 games total. Evan Mobley had the highest scoring game he's ever had. That being said, the Celtics should have still won this game by 7, even with those guys playing their best basketball, and they didn't.
Yeah, Sherrod. I mean, it was night and day compared to
Sorry.
when you look.
I was muted. I was going to say they did those things, but this wasn't Caleb Martin shooting ridiculous shots that he normally doesn't hit. A lot of these were easy, like easy putbacks, blow-bys. Like they scored points because the Celtics didn't challenge them a lot. Then Mitchell got hot and started hitting stuff in people's face. But it wasn't like I think the Celtics made it easy for them to get those buckets. That was kind of the thing. And before you get in, Jimmy, I just want to leave this out here.
Yeah.
This is going to. These types of comments, and I love you, Jay, and thank you for watching, but this is the type of stuff that's going to drive me nuts, because this is where the nuance in the debate comes in on the Tatum conversation, where for the last couple of days, it's been the you don't know ball crowd telling everybody Tatum did other things, and the rest of us saying, we know that, but he's supposed to be an MVP player. He's a top 5 supposed player, an all NBA candidate, 6th in MVP voting. He's not supposed to be OG Anunoby or Jaden McDaniels. He's not a role player. So right. Derek White is a role player or a third piece or a fourth piece on your team. So he can't be expected to score 30 every game. So it's because of that Tatum is supposed to do that type of thing, because that's his job. That's what he does. He's supposed to, in addition to doing all of those things that everyone gave him flowers about last game, screening and screen assists and this defensive Tatum, he's also supposed to be able to score on anybody at an elite level. And right now, he can't shoot over Max Strus and he can't dribble past Tristan Thompson. That's a problem. So yes, Derek White turned into a pumpkin, but Derek White is not here to save you. Your best players are supposed to save you when people go cold. That's the point. That's what makes them the best players. That's why they make $300 million. I mean, my goodness, it's just driving me crazy these last couple of days. Tatum absolutely can do little things to help you win. But then you would expect crazy efficiency in scoring. How many Jokic games during the year do you see him make 7 of 8 field goals with 14 assists and 16 rebounds? That's deciding, hey, I'm not going to shoot because they're paying attention to me. When I do, it's going to be because I've got these bunnies that I can make, and I'm going to help everybody else out. Tatum's still trying to find it. He just can't find it. That's a problem from your best scorer. So, yeah, you can look at Holiday and White and say, like, those guys didn't have it tonight, but they're not counted on for that. They shouldn't be counted on for that. The way Tatum and Brown are. And so that's the problem. That's the problem with the Tatum conversation right now.
Yeah, well said, John. I mean, it's reminding me of a few seasons ago before Tatum and Brown made like that leap or one of their leaps where everything felt difficult for those guys. I don't mean to group Brown into this, but at the time it felt like scoring was difficult. It wasn't like these guys could just figure out how to get to the basket or get their 30 points, whatever it was. It feels like we've almost gone backwards in that sense when it comes to Tatum, where everything seems difficult. He's not going to be able to go out there right now for whatever reason and give you what you need. And after game one, I was probably a little light on him because I said, you know what? Tatum understanding the situation, seeing that Derek White's getting his, seeing that Jaylen Brown's getting his, not trying to force things, not trying to make it about himself, not trying to shoot his way to 35 points when it's not really his night. Well, tonight was one of those nights where it's like, hey, Derek White doesn't have it, right? You know,
could kind of use 40-point top 5 Tatum tonight, right?
Right. This is the type of night where you do have to kind of instill your will out there,
and he can't.
And
that's
be
the scary
that
part.
MVP. Yeah, well, that's the concern, and I brought that up after game one. I think there's a lot of Celtics fans out there right now wondering if he's capable of that. Can he go into Jalen Brunson mode? And again, I'll bring up Jalen Brunson again, not to compare the two, but Jalen Brunson was in the MVP discussion this year, and he had some votes, and he's carrying that through into the playoffs right now. Sherrod, he's did it again last night. Took a Knicks team that was down by double digits at one point. He even missed the second quarter of that game, came out in the second half, carried his team to victory, and now the Knicks are looking at a 2-0 series lead. He's the reason behind that. And the Knicks are banged up too, and the Knicks have a lot of reason to not a lot of reason, but you wouldn't fault them if they had lost last night's game. They lost lost another key player, but point I'm trying to make is guys like Mitchell, Mitchell is one of them, but guys like Brunson, guys like Anthony Edwards, they're stepping up right now when it matters most. Fans want to see Tatum do that too. Fair or not, I think it is fair. This is your guy. Everyone's saying it's your guy. He wants to be the face of the league. He's gonna get a max deal, John. This is the time where you say, here I am. I'll do it.
And this is the moving the goalposts argument here on the Tatum stuff is, you can't look at tonight and be like, well, he had 25 and White only had whatever. So he was fine. We're kind of continuing to miss the point. And yes, Judah, it's not, we know these guys aren't role players. What I'm saying is these aren't your carry the mail offensive players. So they can't be counted on when you're struggling offensively to just get hot all the time. It's great when they do. And Derek White has taken himself to another level this year because of that. Then give him $330 million and negotiate the White deal for Tatum. Like, he's not supposed to switch places with him. Like, White does everything right all the time, every game, and every once in a while goes bananas and scores a bunch of points for you. He's not supposed to be that guy. Like, he's not your alpha scorer.
He saved you game one. White saved you game
your
one.
ass, and he's done it a couple of times this playoffs. He really has, which is amazing.
You can go back to games 4 and 5 against Miami, and Derek White was, I thought, the X factor that put them over the hump and did it in game one. So, but here's the thing about Tatum. And I think people really have to just embrace the fact that this is your best player. This is a time when your best players have to be the best version of who they are. And Jason Tatum has not been that guy. And that's the issue that the Celtics are trying to wrap their arms around because they have surrounded him with such an amazing supporting cast. A lot of his shortcomings, and he does have some, are not made a major issue because they're still winning. Tatum, shoots 0 for whatever from 3-point range and has 17 points, but the Celtics won by 25. So all is forgiven. But I think to the point that John was making, you have to ask yourself, at what point are we going to see the best version of Jason Tatum? At what point is he going to be the guy that isn't worth that max contract, but shows why the Celtics think he's worth that max contract? And we just haven't seen that so far in the playoffs.
And again, this is not another goalpost moving. Actually, everyone on the Garden Report agrees the best version of Tatum is the one who lets the game come to him, and then tries to involve other people and gets his when he can get his. One, he's not doing the former at an elite level. He's fine, a handful of assists, great. It's fine. It's not like he's out there just setting people up all game long. And you can take your hockey assist, potential assist, screen assists, and all that. That's fine. A lot of people get those numbers. It always goes deeper than just the counting stats. He's not setting people up at an elite level where the offense runs through him and he makes it work efficiently. It's not happening. He passes out of doubles, and he'll sometimes make a good skip to an open shooter. You're supposed to do that. He's a professional basketball player. He's not doing that in an elite level. What you want is him not to force it because he feels the need to score all the time. The problem with him at the moment is when he is looking for it, he's really struggling. His rim attempts are feeble. They're spinning away. They're a high degree of difficulty. He's either that or he's foul hunting and he's not necessarily getting them. He's shooting step backs and he's just ice cold from deep. So you need him to not do that. You have to have him as Jimmy said, impose his will more. That's who he's supposed to be. Tatum's supposed to be able to get downhill on most people and go strong to the basket and change that. And then when
how much of it's mentality?
The step back and this and that, and it's not happening for him. And he's cold, and you just need more. It's not hating, and it's not ridiculous to say you need more from an MVP caliber player. You absolutely do, particularly when things get tough like they did tonight.
And the thing about Tatum is that he's so ridiculously talented that he can give you the numbers and not be the least bit impactful. I mean, tonight he was minus 22 when he was on the floor. And you look at his stat line, 25 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 turnover. That's a great stat line. But in terms of impacting winning, in terms of helping your team get over the hump on a night when you're playing a team that's playing pretty damn close to the best version of who they are as a team, you need your best player to be their best. And Tatum wasn't that. I pointed back to that sequence where he had the 3-point play and Jaylen had one right after him. I thought that was the wake-up call for Tatum, that I'm going to get downhill, I'm going to draw contact, I'm going to force these referees to blow this damn whistle because the foul is going to be that blatantly obvious because I'm that good. And if they're not going to foul me when I attack the rim, I'm going to finish. Didn't happen that way. And that, to me, is the missing element in Jason Tatum's game. Not the talent or skills that he needs to develop and evolve into, but just simply understanding time and place and space. When do I need to become the best version of myself for my team to win? I don't think Tatum has as good a feel for that as he should at this point in his career.
Yeah, also he just has to hit layups.
What's that?
Sure.
Also, he's got to hit layups. But go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh, and there's that.
It's a mindset, Sherrod and John. In the playoffs, you have to understand that everybody's ratcheting it up. You can't just rely on talent. You need to understand that you need to go somewhere. I don't know what Tatum needs to do to get to that place in his head, but he needs to dig deep and find this killer mentality or this mode that we, quite frankly, do not see nearly enough, or rarely, if ever, do we see him kind of go into that mode. In the playoffs, that's what separates the greats from the really goods, and there are players who are really good that go into that mentality and they can compete and they do take it to the next level. And that's what you need. Tatum, we know he's not like the most, what do you want to say? He's not that guy that's going to be rah-rah all the time. We know that about him at this point. He's been in the league long enough. He's not that super emotional guy. He's not going to be Kevin Garnett. No, nobody really is, but he's not going to be close to that. We know how talented he is. But in the playoffs, you kind of have to find that happy medium of both things where you actually do need to ratchet it up, the intensity. Sherrod, you listed Tatum's stat line, and there it is on our screen right now. It's a fine stat line. I get it. But that's not the stat line that they needed tonight. They needed him to give them 40. It needed to be a 40-point Tatum night in order for them to compete in this one, in order for them to, stave off the Cavs in that second half. This was a tie game at halftime. What happened in that second half? What happened at halftime? what happened that they fell on their heels, and why did they give up so much in the fourth quarter? This isn't a regular season game anymore. We would make that excuse for the last 3 months of the regular season. We made the excuse, well, they're up X amount of games in the Eastern Conference. These games don't mean anything. They took their foot off the gas. Jaylen Brown would say it. We took our opponent lightly, blah, blah, blah. There is none of that right now. This is the playoffs. These are all supposed to be good teams. And the Cavs are probably one of the least talented teams left in the playoffs. But that doesn't mean that you can sleep on them. That doesn't mean that you can take it for granted. You can disrespect Donovan Mitchell, who on any given night can be the best player on the court and has proven that many times over. And he does, in my opinion, Donovan Mitchell has actually shown on many occasions that killer instinct, that killer mentality, and that ability to just sort of take over late in games. His ability to score when he needs to, I would say, is up there, with some of the best in the league. And sometimes when it comes to Tatum, we don't see that.
Well,
yeah,
John, jump in.
A lot of Tatum rage here on Twitter, and again, it's not all him. It was a overall very poor effort.
It's not all him, but we're talking about him right now. We'll talk about
we are people. Because he's number one. I think Joe. I think the rotations. I think fool me once with Luke. Shame on me. Fool me twice. Now,
John,
sorry.
I will say
shame on you.
I will say this in Luke's defense. He actually did something that was surprisingly positive in this game. He drew fouls 3 and 4 against Evan Mobley and had him go to the bench. That was like, and I'm watching this, and I was halfway through sending you a text thing saying, what the F is Mobley doing? You're fouling Luke Cornett. Not Al Horford, not Porzingis, but Luke freaking Cornett. Here's the problem. Here's the other problem, too. Tatum is your best player. We all agree with that. And yet in this series, at best, he's probably the third best player. At best. Donovan Mitchell, I'd say, is the best. I would say Jaylen Brown has been better overall in these first couple of games than Tatum has. And that should never be the case when your absolute best player is third best in the series. Shouldn't happen. And you might even
Daniel. Yeah. It shouldn't.
So
I said 5 or 6.
Huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
My prediction was technically 5 or 6, but I still don't. I didn't expect them to lose the way they did. I thought they would.
Yeah, I thought they would lose game 2 or 3. I wasn't, because the idea of them just sweeping them. Cleveland presents a different kind of
way, though. To lose by this amount, to lose in this fashion, to just roll over and die, Sherrod. I mean, it's the playoffs. Like if you're, and this is what everybody, I think the general public, at least going into the playoffs, believe the Celtics were the best team in the league. You shouldn't have losses like this. But this brings up the PTSD of here and there, they just completely no-show. At what point are they going to do that against a team that's going to snatch that, that confidence, that momentum away from them, and then use it for themselves? At some point, you can't just roll over and die. The team's not going to let that happen over the course of the series.
That margin that you're working with to do that gets smaller and smaller the deeper you get into the playoffs. And you're right. I mean, I'm looking at, just looking at Dallas and OKC right now. If they get to the finals and face either one, if they get to the finals and face OKC, they're not going to have that luxury to do that. And you start looking at the teams that they would potentially see, they're not going to have that luxury. Now, New York, as crazy as it sounds, if New York gets past Indiana, I think they'd have an easier time with New York than any other team in the playoffs, simply because I just don't know if New York's going to have enough bodies to play. But
you think the Celtics will?
Yeah.
Oh,
New York is going to be so ridiculously battered that, physically speaking, they literally won't have the bodies to compete. But they got to get past Cleveland first. If New York is healthy and Boston's healthy, it's a great series. I think it's a 7-game series at that point. But
me too.
Real quick, I wanted to point out
go ahead, John.
to your point of fouling, getting Mobley into foul trouble. That would have been fine if Tristan Thompson didn't come in and just beat Luke's ass up off of that. So
that's when X-Men had to come in.
Yeah, seriously.
Go ahead,
X-Men
guys.
doesn't give a shit about the Kardashians.
And that's Sam LaFrance host of How About Them
work on
Celtics.
Tristan Thompson.
co-host of How About Them Celtics, along with Jack Simone. Terrific podcast. Also, you can
Right.
find it on the CLNS Media Network. Check those guys out. They bring it every day. Yeah.
They have a good pregame
Problems.
show. They have a good pregame
Huh?
show.
They do a pregame show. They do everything. They're all over the place. You can't not find those guys. Okay, because they're there and they work hard and they bring you something every day. So check them out. It's really good stuff. Tell you guys quickly while we wait for some post game sound to roll in from the guys talking and Joe Mazzulla. I'm sure telling us that they got good shots and Tatum was good tonight and they were fine and just some looks didn't fall. But while we wait for that, we'll tell you all about Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, more than 3 million members. Easiest and most exciting way to get on the action while you watch your least favorite players play a game that drives you freaking insane. Like tonight, you pick more or less on 2 or more player stats, and that's it. Watch the winnings roll in. Tons of great features. You can play along celebrities and community games. You turn 10 into 1,000 on any sport here, basketball, hockey, what have you. You have insurance if you need it, if anybody gets hurt. You don't have any insurance if people just decide to stop playing like the Celtics did. They have to actually be injured. It's a really fun and easy to use app. So all you have to do is download it today. Use that code CLNS for a first deposit match up to 100. Once again, download that app today. First deposit match up to 100. And before we move on, I do have to tell you as well about Game Time. As we said, get tickets, okay? We get tickets. Again, I say this all the time. I feel bad. I got to go to the game tonight. I didn't have to get a ticket. I'm cool like that, sitting next to Bobby Manning. I'm going to tell you what Bobby told me as well, which you'll never believe these words came out of his mouth. But Game Time can get you in there, especially for these tough-to-find tickets. An authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app. What do they do, Jimmy? Do they go up? No.
They go down.
They
go down, baby.
They go down as the
Like the
game
Do what
Celtics
I
goes on.
do.
tonight.
Do what I
and
do.
they go down. Yeah.
You just post up near the venue. You hang out at a bar. You watch the dollar amount drop. Even when the game starts, you can use the Game Time app. Once the game starts, the tickets will continue to drop. Show up a few minutes late. Show up fashionably late. Save a couple bucks. Use the money on a bowl of popcorn, and you're good to go.
Yeah. It's
Do it
what
for the
Miami Heat
Bruins.
fans do when they have tickets.
Yeah.
So again, killer last minute deals. Get in on it. As we said, all of those great features, flash deals, panoramic view from your seat, which is actually very cool, and lowest price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find something better than what they offer. So you can't lose here. It's really worth checking out, especially if you are going to try to get into some game or concert or what have you. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use the code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Once again, use that code CLNS when you download the Game Time app. $20 off your first purchase. Download it today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Back to this game. Again, it's going to be Tatum because it's been Tatum, and I think it's overdue a little bit, and the debate raged on, and obviously you expect that from the best players. Really a piss-poor effort throughout here, and we'll get a blame pie going, and we'll get a sense of what we like here. But what happened in overall approach in your mind tonight, Sherrod, versus last time? Again, was this just a too cool for school? We got this? Again, the worst thing that happens is you blow them out in game 1. And as much as we're raging on here, they're going to come out and win game 3 by 47 points. It'll be like, oh, yeah, it was fine. And that's honestly very possible. But again, why do we have to keep saying this? It's the playoffs. You're not supposed to take days off. I don't understand it. You can have off days by playing poorly, but you're not supposed to not try. I don't understand why this is still a thing that everyone's like okay with.
I think it's just
not everyone, but
right. Every team, no matter how good you are, has some kink or flaw or thing that's just, why do they do that or why do they act that way? And this is the Celtics kink where they will take games. I wouldn't say take off. They take them way more lightly than they should. Like I said earlier, this felt like a December 9th game where it's just one of 82, and you should not be carrying yourself as a team like that. The Celtics, they have the talent, they're deep, they've got all those things that you ideally want to have in a championship caliber team, but they have these moments like this. And to the point that Jimmy made earlier, at some point, it's going to bite you in the ass if you're not too careful. You're going to find yourself losing a game that you're going to need in the grand totality of that particular series, and you're not going to have it. And they really need to hopefully learn from these type of games. This is a second straight series where they've lost game 2 at home. And the second straight series that team that beat them had one of the most amazing games they've ever had in like franchise history, or players were having career highs left and right. You look at the final numbers, the Cavs shot better than 50% from the field. I think they're on the north side of 40% on 3-point range. They were plus 13 on the boards. They kicked your ass in every single category that mattered. And that should never happen. Should never happen.
Category. Yeah, this wasn't like I know Cleveland shot a good percentage from 3, but they only attempted 20-something. This wasn't a high variance game where the threes killed you, because honestly, you need volume. It's not just about the percentage. I mean, if you don't know this by now, having watched the Celtics, and I mean, Joe's been proven right on this. You got to take them. You got to take a bunch. They didn't. They killed them by just friggin' walking right by them, and then the Celtics didn't challenge.
They were just so efficient. So efficient.
Yeah, they didn't challenge their threes, and the Celtics played their dumb drop, and everything like that. And yeah, I mean, the killer. I've always said this, and thank you again for the contribution here, Krob or C-Rob 949. We do appreciate it. I hate that. I hate the passive defense because it does breed laziness, and the Celtics got legit blown by a ton tonight. A ton.
Thank you for saying that. I think that was the difference, John, is that Cleveland just attacked. They saw a Celtics team that didn't want to match their intensity, and they attacked them. And that's why obviously they didn't rely overly on the 3-point shot. And if Celtics aren't hitting them at a clip that they need to, the opponent can focus more on attacking inside. They don't have to try to match them 3-point for 3-point. And a lot of times you will lose that battle against the Celtics. But was this a night where they missed Porzingis and it was more obvious because of that interior presence was lacking? Sure.
See, Jimmy, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've been thinking about that the entire night and the entire game, that at some point when you miss an integral part of who your team is, at some point it is going to bite you in the ass that you don't have them. Cleveland doesn't have Jared Allen, and so people will make that comparison. But here's the thing. Jared Allen is important.
They don't. They would have won by 50.
Right, but as important as Jared Allen is to what they do, they still have guys that bring them what they need in his absence. Like Tristan Thompson, for example. Jared Allen is a great offensive rebounder, keep balls alive type of guy. That's what Tristan Thompson does, obviously to a lesser degree. But still, you've got someone who does something similar to that. And for the Celtics, not having Porzingis, it isn't so much what he brings as much as the impact it has on your rotation, the domino effect. On the bench tonight, other than Peyton Pritchard, did anyone do anything of significance on that bench? No.
I want to talk about the bench later if we can.
Pritchard's the only one that played with balls tonight.
What's that? Yeah, you're right.
I want to talk about the
bench. He really did. He attacked. Everyone else just chucked up shots, hoping they would go in, and Pritchard attacked.
I need an apology.
Jason Tatum hit a freaking layup, and Pritchard's up there, up faking 7-footers and getting them all
laying it in,
scoring at the rim and laying it in. Yeah. What are we doing here?
Yeah, your smallest guy is looking as if he's your biggest on the block, post up, give me a damn bucket.
That was so telling to me. Yeah. So one of the global questions we'll ask, just generally is always with this team is, what actually worries you? And most of the season, people are like, I'm not worried because regular season off nights and blah, blah, blah. And even I, much to Jimmy's surprise and chagrin, really didn't overreact to these, shitty losses that they would have when they wouldn't show up. Even though I am, it does give you PTSD and remind you of it. But I said, if we see them in the playoffs, that's going to concern me. And now we've seen 3 of them, I think. I think 2 of the Miami games, one was a win where they played poorly. And then again tonight, they're 3 out of 7 games has been not great effort, not just execution, both effort and execution. That's a very high percentage of crap games. So it really comes down to, with the Celtics, it's always, less a concern about what they did tonight, positive or negative. We keep saying this. More what's going to happen next. And at what point do you find something like tonight concerning? Al Horford says, right friggin' now I do.
You just throw this one away, chalk it up to a bad night?
I think we have to look into it. We'll look into it and we'll see, how we can be better, learn from it. That's what we did the last time, and we have to understand that we're going into Saturday into a hostile place, and it's going to be a battle. And we just have to make sure that we're at our best, and I'm confident that we'll be ready to go.
Sounds good.
Look into it. What does look
Yeah.
into it mean? Because I am curious.
Yeah.
I would hope that look into it means, hey, Tatum, our best player, dominate. We need you to dominate. We need you to be the absolute best baller on the court from here on out. Because if you're ever going to actually live up to the top 5 Tatum moniker, this might be the time to start that campaign. This might be the time to map out how to get to 270 to be the top 5 Tatum. Because right now, I can see the path to get to 270, but you're not campaigning hard enough to make that happen.
Yeah, I
Facts,
don't
my dog.
see it. I don't see it. We're gonna welcome in.
Man.
We were gonna welcome in
We
Bobby,
were
but he
going
blipped out. We do have a bit of a blame pie situation. We'll get into that as well because there's quite a few slices. You know what's amazing to me? This is the most refreshing thing about the chat tonight. 90% of losses like this year was 70% Joe slander. This is the first one. Everyone is finally putting it on the players. Thank you.
Are you going to give any to Joe?
I'm always going to give something to Joe. I just never think he's the issue. I don't think he's the solution. I don't think they're losing in spite of him at all. But it does frustrate you. Like I said, is some stuff clearly wasn't working tonight, and he went to it more than once. Got cute a little bit in that third quarter. They were down, tried to ride that Tatum in the bench lineup. It didn't kill him, but it didn't help him either in that scenario. And he realized, when you play Tatum for a whole third quarter and you go minus 12 in that quarter, that's probably bad. And so it just didn't work. The combos weren't working. They had to do something a little bit different here. I think Cornette showed you everything you needed to see in the first half.
He's your third center.
He is.
He looks like it.
Showed you everything you needed to see in the first half. And I don't know, I guess you had to. And I tweeted this, but this was great. This is what Bobby Manning said to me during the first Cornette stint.
What?
Sitting next to Bobby, he looks over at me, he gives me a little elbow, and he's like, "Got to get Luke out of there." And I was like, No, Bobby did not just say that.
No way.
Did he? And he did.
Concerned parent.
Let's bring Bobby in right now. What's up, Bobby?
He still looks
What's going on?
A little of this, a little of that.
A lot's going on.
What's going on? You were in there
good.
talking to people. Kess has some Joe criticism. I would like to hear it as well, but go ahead.
Yeah, not much so far. I mean, have you guys gotten any Joe sound yet? He was pretty subdued, pretty conciliatory, I felt like, after, just like it was after the Heat loss. Not too combative, not too defensive, and admitted many of the areas where it went wrong. I think, I led off asking about the effort. Thought it was more execution leading the defensive issues the other way because of the offensive execution, which he points to a lot. And clearly the offense was a mess tonight, but this is another game I look at where you could have won this if you tightened up, schemed, and paid attention to defense. And this just isn't a team that does that. And it's so frustrating. You shot poorly. You should still be in the game. To fall out by 20 plus in a game like this, just because you paid no attention to defense, this is the difference between a team like this and a team like the 2022 Celtics, who made the finals pretty forcefully. And they had their problems too along the way and certainly had issues on offense, but they were scheming defense. They were tight on that end. They emphasized that end. And we continue to see with this team, they give up shots that they want to give up. They play back. They don't force turnovers. And in certain spots they have these kind of
Yeah.
lapses. It's brutal.
And that's what we said, Bobby, is like on the cold shooting nights, you should be able to lean on your defense to keep
At
you
least
in
to
these games.
compete. You should not fall out
And
of
then
these
you
games.
just chose to stop. It was the classic. The shots aren't falling, and we just chose to stop playing. That's what happened in the third quarter. I mean, the two exchanges that kill me the most, is the double offensive rebound situation where Tatum and Luke are just looking at each other and nobody freaking grabs it there in the third. Then you're down 12. You go out there to start the fourth quarter, and the first play is Jaylen Brown getting backdoored by Strus. This is not a serious team. If that's what you come out of the break with that, like, all right, it's only 12. We got a whole quarter, and you just fall asleep and get backdoored on the first freaking play. That was it. If I was there and a paying fan, I go for the exits right then and there. It was over.
They came right out of halftime. 2-0 on Mitchell, 2-0 on Garland. Joe called the timeout 2 minutes into the third. And then they come out and are 2-0 on Garland again to fall down 7. And then, they're out there complaining about a travel no call while Mobley's shooting a free throw jumper, wide open. So the start of the third was a disgrace. You had a chance there, still tied, still close, to, go on a little bit of a run, try to build some momentum out of halftime. Yeah, and I hated the end of the third. Listen, Cornette was not good tonight. But he comes out there in the end of the third and forces 2 fouls on Mobley, sends him to the bench. All of a sudden, Tristan Thompson
and then gets murdered by Tristan Thompson.
Yeah. So you got to take advantage of those minutes right there. How do you not want to run in that situation? You get their best defender off the floor. You get a guy who is killing you offensively in this one off the floor. It's still, at that point, a pretty close game. Definitely less than 10 at that point. I think right around there. Baffling quarter. And then, of course, in the fourth, you just completely combusted.
Good word.
Inexplicable loss. This was one of the worst losses I've ever seen covering this team. Inexplicable.
I love Bobby hyperbole. I love it.
Me too.
Inexplicable. I mean, you're a 12-point favorite, John. They're missing 2 starters. You destroyed them in game 1. And you come out like this, it was one of the ones you feared, John. The game where they come on and say, yeah, we just didn't have it tonight. And I haven't heard that yet tonight, but I'm sure we're going to.
We're going to get the Jaylen Brown quote where he says we took our opponent lightly.
And he'll be looking over at Tatum.
Brown and Tatum are about to talk. I'm sure we're going to hear it
right now.
So
they're talking. Are you jumping?
No.
No, you're done with them?
Doesn't want to see him. Doesn't want to be around him.
Nope, I'm in for the ride.
They broke Bobby.
Love that.
They broke our Bobby. Damn it, Tatum. Damn it, Jaylen.
I mean, you can lose.
What's up with Tatum? Bobby, what's the deal? We already talked about Tatum a lot, but I'd like to get your opinion on. I mean, you were kind of easy on him after game 1. I wonder if you.
But I did have a fear, Jimmy. If the shooting struggles continued, would he try to force his way out of it? And I feel like that's what we saw from him tonight. At times, getting aggressive, going down to the hill, and getting to the free throw line. 11 free throws in this one, right? But 1 in the second half. Seeing crowds, taking difficult shots. John was sitting right next to me, and shot after shot Tatum took. He just said difficult. That's a tough shot. And sometimes he hit them.
Even a couple of the makes, yeah.
Difficult shots, but
it's not a strong take where he's getting it all the way to the rack and putting it up clean.
Right.
Everything is a spin or a clutch.
They didn't take good shots tonight.
All of them are hard. They're hard.
Remember when we used to talk about how difficult it was for these guys to score like a few years ago, Bobby? It seems like blast from the past a little bit with Tatum. Like it's just nothing's coming easy for him right now. That was a question to you, Bobby.
Nothing's coming easy for him, and they're not going to allow it. I mean, they've said it outright throughout this series.
But I don't mean that they should allow it. I mean,
like, voicing this chat right now into a state of depression.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they should make it easy for him, but he should be at a point in his career where he should be able to get his. And I understand what you're saying, Bobby, where he's forcing it a little bit tonight. But this was a night where, unlike game 1, when he didn't need to force it, somebody needed to try to get going in this game. So it's not that I hated him for trying to get himself going. I would have liked to have seen it maybe in different capacities and maybe, again, being a little bit more aggressive, going to the hoop. Not some of those shots that you had mentioned earlier with the turnarounds and the contested shots, but this is a guy that needs to put the team on his back in certain situations. This would have been a perfect example tonight. I just couldn't do it. And that's, I think, the growing concern is if he's capable of it.
Yeah. Is this
This
your
is
king
why we
right
said,
here?
yes, this is why we said coming out of last game, great, you do the other things. It was all perfectly valid, that take many people had. But you rely on him for scoring, John, as you said. And if you're in this situation, like Jimmy just mentioned, where you need him to score to keep you in the game, and he's unable to do so, and he's missing shots at a high rate still, you're screwed. And you end up with 94 points.
And that's the thing is like the defense of it is odd to me. It's like, well, they're throwing a lot of bodies at him and he's getting doubled. What good player doesn't get a lot of attention? That's part of it.
That's part of why being a good player.
That's part of it. Like it's supposed to be hard. Like, what are we talking about? Like, that's it. Well, it's been hard for him and he's doing other stuff. Yeah, sorta. He's doing some other stuff, but I mean, not enough of what he needs to be doing right now. I'm sorry, it's not enough. It's short.
What did they?
It doesn't
what do they
mean
want?
He's awful, like the worst player. He's not. He's supposed to be your star. He's got to be able to do more. So it's not wrong to ask for more.
And what do they want him to do right now? Is anything he does fine?
I don't think
he wants
they
to
know.
go out there and just pass and be a diversion. Great.
Look,
if they want to.
It's on their mind, right, Bobby? We said it. Again, we're sitting right next to each other in first play. I was like, there it is. They clearly ran a set and tried to get Tatum on a switch down low against a smaller defender and an early, easy touch near the basket. It resulted in 2 free throws. Great. Getting him an easier look. Still couldn't get it up and over, but he got fouled. Then he goes to the basket again on a pretty good take, gets fouled again. So it's kind of a little bit of a good start. Then it kind of stopped being that. They didn't scheme for him or game plan to get him touches in certain spots. It just kind of devolved into the whole I trust you guys to do the right thing sort of thing. And it turned into just a bunch of chucking. And that was it. And inefficient drives and high degree of difficulty shots, creating transition buckets going the other way.
The fourth quarter was scary.
They're missing at the rim, and that's causing it to go the other way. And it's just killing them. It just killed them.
Yeah, the fourth quarter was scary. The body language, how much they let go of the rope completely, and the game went out of control. It was a 24-9 run to start that quarter. And it just reminds you of some of those moments where they looked helpless and lost in past postseason spots. End of that Heat series that they lost, the end of the Warriors finals in that game 6 where the Warriors just sprinted them off the court in the second half. That was what it looked like in that fourth quarter. And can they bounce back from that? Yes. They're still going to win this series. They're probably not going to lose again in this series, just like in the last series. But when you see stuff like this, you see what could prevent them from winning a championship. And so if they go on to win 3 straight here, great, they got the job done. But you still have this lapse. You still have this disconnect in a game like this. It's just a no-show. Like, that's all you can describe this as. And Tatum deserves all the criticism he's going to get. He's playing poorly this postseason.
But you don't know ball, Bobby.
Nobody showed up tonight. Nobody.
I disagree. I thought Peyton Pritchard did. I thought he was the only one.
Peyton gave them some energy. Horford hit some shots when they were shying away from him. So there were some performances that I guess go down as silver linings. But when you collectively as a team fall out of the game to this degree, you didn't show up. And how does that happen? How does that happen at home? How does that happen against this team that's missing 2 guys? It just keeps happening over and over and over again. I was going to say,
it's happened plenty. Yeah, it's happened plenty.
And this is like a new version of this team. It's a new coach. We've seen it happen under 3 different coaches. Like, when this just keeps happening repeatedly, something like you're allowed to lose. Like, to go back to the point Joe's made a million times, you're not going to go 16-0 on the way to the championship. You get that. But to lose like this is what gives people doubt.
Right. And again, I don't think anyone is feeling as if the world is going to end and the Celtics are going to go down to the Cavs in this series. But to your point, Bobby, that's it's never been about moving from one round to the next. It's always been about winning a championship. And these are the kind of games that plant seeds of doubt in the minds of I don't think just fans. I think some of the players have got to be asking themselves, to a man, are we really built to win a championship? Do we really want to win a championship, or is it something that we feel is a need, or is it just something that we want to do? Because you have to feel as if this is a need, that you got to win a championship. I'm not sure this team embraces this moment and this opportunity to the extent that you should.
Well, do they seem to understand, Sherrod, that it's going to be hard? Like, there's going to be
I don't
resistance.
think they do. I don't think they fully embrace that.
Do you just expect to go out there and see all the shots fall, all the calls go your way, the other team just completely crumble and give up after a game 1 win, runaway win? Like, the Cavs are a good team. Like, I know we look at them and they're hurt and they're damaged and stuff like that, and you should roll past them, and everybody was picking sweep or 5. Donovan Mitchell's on that other side, and that guy is a baller. You have Garland, who can hit shots. You have Mobley, who's capable and a monster defensive player of the year caliber guy. So this isn't the Heat series, right, where they're just missing everybody. Like, they're missing some key guys on that side, but you still have to take them seriously. This was a game where they showed up after winning by 25 and just thought they were going to walk through them. There's no other way to explain this.
And to your point, Bobby, about Mitchell, I don't think most people realize this. He's actually better in the playoffs than the regular season. He's consistently been a better performer statistically in the postseason versus what he did in the regular season. And the reason why, we saw that in game 2, he's a beast. He understands what he needs to do to give his team the best shot at winning. And they had a game plan in Cleveland, and they executed to near perfection. Donovan is going to put up his numbers regardless of what you do defensively, but can he allow his presence to get others going? Can Mobley actually be that defensive two-way type of guy who can not only dominate at the defensive end of the floor, but also get points and get others involved, which he did a lot of in this game? Cleveland delivered the perfect game to beat the Celtics, and the Celtics conversely played arguably one of, if not the worst postseason games so far.
The game plan was great, Sherrod, right? And you saw it right away. They were going to the paint. They shot 82, and I texted, Jimmy and John, because that shoot around this morning, a big conversation was Cavs shot 82% at the rim in game 1. And it's like, all right, 82% at the rim. You didn't turn the ball over in game 1. A lot of things went well for the Cavs in spite of losing by 25 in that game. So I think they highlighted areas where things worked in game 1, right? You come out of that game, you don't overreact, you limit the turnovers again, you go to the paint again and again and again. I think they shot 10 for 13 in the first quarter. They're looking for Mobley. They're putting the ball in his hands. They're saying, get comfortable, get those shots up. If you miss them, so be it. Like, we want to get you involved and comfortable, because he was a no-show in game 1. They got him rolling early. He even hit a 3 early, which just isn't in his arsenal. So you knew at that point, like, this guy's going to be rolling tonight. And that got everybody going, it felt like, because then the Celtics have to react a little bit. They're going to pick and rolls with him, and he's actually a threat. They're finding him. And it was just a great game plan from Cleveland, and it gave them that early edge that they built on there. And it was just a physical, aggressive, advantage game plan, because Celtics don't have rim protection right now. Kornet did a decent job in game 1. That completely crumbled here tonight. You try to go to Tillman for some switching. He was really bad. So your front court let you down a little bit.
He was plus 12 in the first half. He just didn't have a good second stint. He was the only plus player in the lineup, but they did okay with that first one in relief of Luke.
Yeah, you went to some switching there in the first half.
He did
slowed
all right.
them down for a minute.
There was some people, but it didn't pay off long term.
This is the first game where you missed Porzingis.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna hear from Joe in a second. So just stand by. I'm not sure exactly what he's saying, but he's saying stuff. We do want to let you know quickly. PXG. You got to check that out here if you're looking for ridiculously cool golf apparel. We know PXG creates high-performance golf clubs, bringing the same passion for excellence to their new line of apparel. Definitely good stuff. They sent us some samples. As I said, I went and I bought one myself. I liked it so much. Premium materials, designed for peak performance. Wear it on the course, wear it out, doesn't matter. Something for everyone. Pants, polo, sweaters, hats, quarter zips, joggers, jackets, skirts. Go get some. I love this. I really, really love this apparel. Elevate your style game on and off the course with PXG Spring and Summer Collection. 2024 collection, I should say. Head over to pxg.com/garden report. Use that code garden report. Check out and save 10% on all apparel. Once again, pxg.com/garden report. Code garden report. 10% off on all apparel. We also did not tell you, we need to tell you a little something about Prize Picks, and that is a special offer right now on Prize Picks. Caitlin Clark. Free square.
Oh, I would go more on that.
It's a free square. You don't need it, Jimmy. You know why? It's a freebie. You can pair it with anything.
Okay.
All you get is a debut game Tuesday, May 14th. You get a free square. This is a freebie. Pair it with anybody. All she's got to do is score 1 point. This will be the Indiana Fever versus Connecticut Sun. You can add this to anything here on more or less. Caitlin Clark gets more than 1 point. The square wins automatically. So you're already part of the way to whatever it is that whatever it is you're doing here on Prize Picks. You can't lose. I mean, you really can't lose this one. So again, there's a timer on this square. You have to add it before the timer ends. So check it out, but get in on the action with Caitlin Clark here in her debut Tuesday. Fever versus the Connecticut Sun.
Caitlin Clark shows up tonight. If she's in this game, Celtics Cavs, she shows up. I have no doubt in my mind that they could have used.
We're going to hear a few things. There's a bunch of bites here. I don't know what's what. We're going to start with Joe Mazzulla.
Was this loss completely tactical? It was nothing mental. You guys didn't. It was not effort, 100% effort. Like, why did you guys lost by 28 points or whatever? Like, what happened?
I mean, I have to go back and watch the film, but I think when you lose a game like that, it could be a combination of tactics, combination of effort, combination of like a little bit of all those things at times. Not to say it was one thing the entire time, but it's probably a combination of those.
And you guys haven't had your ass kicked like this in a long time. How do you guys respond for this in 2 days?
I love Gary.
Trying to get a reaction.
You guys generally have not lost like this all year.
He's trolling Joe.
The same way as you would have win. You come in tomorrow, you watch the film, and you get better for game 3.
And what do you guys need to do to get better?
I mean, we'll learn that when we watch the film.
You haven't got your ass kicked like this in a while, Coach.
I'll tell you this. I don't know.
You guys really suck tonight. What happened?
This might be revenge of Gary right there because, Joe can't say much about tonight. But again, I don't know how much we're putting on Joe tonight. I don't know. I don't really know.
Well, Joe didn't have any answers either. You just got to watch the film.
He didn't have answers. But again, I am done. I am done putting it on coaches to motivate players to play. Nope. That's on the players. Do you think there was a magic adjustment Joe makes tonight or a secret timeout that he sneaks in that changes the outcome of the game if they're going to go out and do what they did? Nope. Sorry. No.
This is all about the players. I mean, there's
like, does he have answers? Does he know? I don't know. We don't know, but it's as you said, Sherrod, players.
Yeah, I mean, you can't tell Tatum, I need you to play harder. That should kind of go without saying. You can't tell Jaylen, I need you to not get your ass beat on a backdoor cut from freaking Max Strus. You kind of know you're not supposed to do that.
In that sense, though, that should be
I did like this.
on the whiteboard, right? I mean, it is on the coach at some point to prepare his guys for what's going to happen on the court. You're right. I agree. Yeah, you can't get them to be fired up. They need to be able to do that on their own. But
you can prepare them, Jimmy, but you can't control execution. Like, I can tell you exactly what you're supposed to do, but if you get out on the floor and you don't execute what I told you to do, sure. I can't deal with that. I'm pretty sure that that Jaylen Brown knew based on the team's X's and O's not to let Max Strus go to the basket for an easy layup right at the top of the quarter. And again, this was a game. It really did feel that it was more on the players than coaches. I didn't think that Joe necessarily put them in bad positions to be unsuccessful. I thought they put themselves in bad positions to be unsuccessful. Missing wide open shots, missing shots at the rim, not getting back defensively, falling asleep defensively. Those are things that have more to do with execution. And execution typically is the players' job. That's their role. That's the responsibility that they have in terms of wins and losses. And when the execution is bad, this is what happens. I mean, Joe was real kind to say, I'm going to go back and look at the film, but he doesn't really need to do that to know that his guys didn't execute nearly as well of the game plan as they talked about.
And you know what scares me the most is among the things that you were concerned with the Celtics was you were hoping we didn't show up, we didn't play with energy, I didn't play enough energy tonight. You're hoping that's gone, and it's not. So that's all concern again. But it was how are they going to play late with leads against good teams? And are they going to go into slowdown and some of their worst tendencies? Well, they're not playing good teams, and you know what? They haven't been in a close game yet. 7 games in, not yet to be tested in crunch time. And that's another one where how's that going to go? I don't know. I don't want another unanswered question with this team right now because already here it's, bring the energy. Let's talk about Jaylen Brown. See if he brought the energy here. Let's hear you, Jaylen.
More lack of execution or more lack of effort?
You're so fucking cool.
I think it was just a bad game. Obviously, we didn't shoot the ball very well tonight, but defensively, it was unacceptable performance. And I think that's where,
Thank you.
We look at that, and I'm the most upset. And defensively, we gave up 118 points, and then on top of that, we lost the rebound battle. So we didn't help ourselves tonight.
Okay. Accountability is a start. It's a start. But what are you going to do about it? That's where I'm at. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to be better? Yeah. What are you going to do when you go to Cleveland, and a Cleveland team that, by the way, has yet to lose a game this postseason at home? Another story, another day. It was against Orlando, but still, it's not going to be easy for them. Good. Let's see what Josue's got to say.
I think Josue's here.
Yeah. He just doesn't. He's chat averse. Josue won't type in the chat.
I don't think he's got chat. I don't think he's got.
I'm trying to get everything together over here. No, it's just I'm trying to get everything together here.
John, he's on the podium right now, man. Look at the.
He's on the podium.
I mean, the room was available. These guys spoke quickly onto the bus, onto the next one, man. The Cleveland Cavaliers. This is where they had their presser here, and Bickerstaff putting together the best game plan ever because these guys stuck with it, man. I just think this is the type of win where it's gonna wake up the Celtics, and I expected this type of reaction from the Cavaliers, but not like this. I didn't think it would be a 25-point loss. I didn't think it would be a blowout win against the Celtics, but here we are, man. I mean, you think about what they did in the first half, keeping the game close, and Mitchell he was just warming up those last 5 minutes of the second quarter, and then goes off in the third. It was just a horrible third quarter for the Celtics overall. Not only did you allow, 7 3-pointers in that stretch, but you also let Mitchell just go wild, go crazy, and that carried over into the fourth quarter. But the Celtics got to wake up, man. I agree with Jaylen, who just spoke not too long ago. When it comes down to rebounding, when it comes down to the defending, that's just effort here. I remember two specific plays where it felt like I literally watched Derek White just walk away from Darius Garland as he drained another 3-pointer. I'm like, that's the type of stuff, that's effort, and it's those type of plays, those type of lazy possessions, defensive possessions that pile up, and all of a sudden you're down by 5, you're down by 7, you're down by 15. I mean, it happened in a hurry, but that's how good these guys are. And I remember before the series even started, when we were talking about which team do you want to see the Celtics face, either the Cavs or Orlando Magic, and Sherrod's like, well, the Cavs have someone that can go out there and beat you in one of these games. And you can say that in this one.
Harris LeVert.
I was gonna say you can say that someone in this one, but it wasn't just Donovan. Exactly, it was LeVert. It was 5 other guys that scored in double figures. Mobley, man, game of his career high. Like that's the type of stuff that like that's inspired basketball here for a team that had to play game 1 2 days after game 7. You know, had to go back to Cleveland with somewhat of a feeling that hey, we can still compete in this series, and that's exactly what they got. If you're Bickerstaff, man, you're nothing but smiles going back to Cleveland. You did what you were supposed to do here. You took one.
But Josue, I think the one thing you said that I think is going to prove itself to be true in Game 3 is that the Celtics now have a wake-up call. And I hate the fact that they have to get their asses kicked for them to wake up and start playing the way they are capable of. But we've seen this before. We've seen it during the regular season. We saw it during the playoffs when they lost to Miami. They were a very different team after that. They were not perfect. They still made their share of mistakes, but there was a consistent effort, a consistent attention to detail that they played with going forward. And that's why that series was a wrap after they lost that one game. I suspect something similar is going to happen with Cleveland. But the biggest thing, Josue, I'm just curious your take. Did anyone else talk about the effort issue? Because it seems like that of all the effort and execution seem to be the 2 things that they were missing more than anything else in this game.
Jaylen a little bit. Again, for him, it was more about the defense and the rebounding. But I think the 2 things go hand in hand. But flat out calling the team or calling themselves out on the effort, no, I didn't see that. Especially not from Joe Mazzulla.
Brown did.
You know, Brown, yeah, but Brown was talking more about rebounding. And yeah, I guess he threw an effort as well. But I just feel like it's a lot of things that they already know because they've done this before, you know? And if this is the wake-up call they need and they go and win, you know, 3 more to finish off the series like they did against the Miami Heat, then we're going to say, oh, well, there we go. We're worried about nothing. But these are concerns for any series, you know, moving forward, moving ahead. And the Celtics have to convince us that they got this out of their system for good. And I don't know. We'll see. I'm not concerned. I think they'll bounce back in this series. I think they bounce back in Game 3 for sure. But I don't want to see this type of effort again, especially in the playoffs. Like it's the thing about this game, guys. It just didn't feel like a playoff game. It didn't feel like a playoff effort for Boston, you know.
But like you can have these ass efforts against Miami and Cleveland and bounce back and still probably win and not be worried. Eventually, that doesn't work anymore. Like you can't do that because you'll play teams where you might lose with good efforts. So you can't throw ones away. That's the point. It's insane to think that this is sustainable in a series with a good team. Not showing up once or twice in a series is the series. That's it. So yeah, they have margin for error right now because it's Cleveland and Miami, and they're better than them. How far does this go? Like, how far can you keep doing this?
Yeah, man, it's one of those things where I feel like again, even if you go out and win the rest of these games in the series, what are they gonna look like against the Knicks? You know, I just think the Celtics have to put out a convincing effort on both ends of the floor, but it really starts on the defensive end. Like this type of stuff and giving up these amount of points. And I get it, 3 of these guys had career highs, you know, playoff career highs, you know, for the Cleveland Cavaliers. But overall, again, I don't see that sense of hey, like let's go out there and send a message, you know. And it's unfortunate that it always takes these type of losses for us to get that version of the Celtics that I'm sure we're going to see in Game 3 at Cleveland.
Dude, I was just watching Donovan Mitchell's highlights from tonight. Man, that buzzer that he had at the end of the 3rd quarter, he shook Tatum and he just hit
Tatum. Yeah.
Just hit that 3 that was the momentum that that took them into that 4th quarter. And it almost felt like after that shot, I don't know if it was Tatum or just the team in general, they just like hung their heads after that. I mean, that's just not the mentality that you have to have in the playoffs. And Donovan Mitchell had 23 of its points tonight in that second half. There was nobody on that Celtics team that came even remotely close to matching what Donovan Mitchell gave the Cavs tonight. And yeah, his total stats are fine, 29 points, and I think he had 7 and 6. But he's a good example of a guy who has taken the burden on and carried that burden to get his Cavs team to where they are right now. In a 1-1 series, second round of the playoffs, where, again, you talk about banged up teams. Sherrod, you were talking about the Knicks being banged up, the Heat are banged up, Cavs are banged up too. And he's just doing it. And by the way, their talent level is not nowhere near where the Celtics can be. And he's just able to just understand the moment and do what it takes. I'm not saying that he's going to win every game from this point on and just put the team on his back forever. But on a night like tonight, 13.5-point underdogs, tied at halftime. I don't know what went on in the Celtics locker room at halftime, but whatever went on in the Cavs locker room, Donovan Mitchell took to heart. And he just, again, this is what fans want Tatum to do. They want Tatum to be the guy to come out in the second half and drop 23 points and shake the opponent at the buzzer. Tatum won't even take a shot at the buzzer unless it's a clean look. He doesn't want anything to affect that field goal.
His field goal percentage.
Yeah. So
it happened again tonight.
I know.
I mean,
different wavelengths right now, man. I don't know what's going on.
Well, what Donovan did was special because he got these guys motivated in that first half by just getting everyone involved, getting everyone on the same page to go into that second half and then go into killer mode, which I honestly saw coming. I mean, you got the sense that he wasn't being as aggressive offensively, but he was finding guys down low. I mean, these guys really attacked the paint against the Celtics. You know, without Kristaps Porzingis, a couple of up fakes, Luke Kornet goes flying. I mean, like I tweeted out by that first quarter, I was like, I guess the Cavs figured out Luke. And what I meant by that is I just feel like without Porzingis, you can throw other bodies in there in the middle, but it's got to be a group effort in the sense of just stopping the lane when guys are just continuously attacking. And it wasn't just Mitchell, obviously, in that second half. It happened all over throughout the first, you know, even with their bigs in their front court, scoring that they just didn't have at all in the in game one. All of a sudden they came alive in the paint, you know. So yeah, the 3-pointers crushed the Celtics in that third quarter, but a lot of those points for the Cleveland, it came from inside the paint, you know. And yeah, they didn't have the game. There wasn't a huge gap at halftime, and it was just enough for Donovan Mitchell to go off the way he did, and as well as other guys on the Cavs.
Yeah,
but is this a one-off, guys? Though that's the question. Can Cleveland do this again?
It's always the
I don't
question.
know.
It's always.
I don't know. 118. I didn't think they could score 118 in this game, in this series.
Well, the Celtics gave up, so I mean,
from
the fact
statistician Dick Leip, first time they scored more than a 107.
This is the first time since May 31st, 2018, Cleveland has scored more than 107 points in a playoff game.
This is their first road. This is their first playoff win on the road since LeBron was on the team.
124-114, despite 51 from LeBron. Yeah, again, how much of it is the Cavs' offense? How much of it was the fact that the Celtics just decided not to play defense in that fourth quarter? Really, a really embarrassing type of a performance.
The politically correct answer would be a little bit of both, but the reality is it was the Celtics taking the night off defensively.
It
Cleveland
really felt like,
yeah. Go ahead, John.
It felt like the second night of a back-to-back where they're like, if the shots go down, great, you know, fine, we'll do it, and then we're done.
I'm hungry for some blame pie. Do we have it or no?
Yeah, we got it.
Oh yeah,
and Luke's on there.
Is that Bob Kraft?
Is it Bob Kraft?
What? Was he at the game tonight?
Yeah.
All right, then. You can't get mad at me for putting on Spoelstra on the blame pie.
I didn't authorize this, but let's go for it. Go, give me your slices.
All right, who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Tatum, 80%. Jaylen,
that's a big piece.
That's a big ass piece. Jaylen, give you 5. Drew, 2 or 3. Let's go 3. That gives me an 88. Joe, I give 1%. 89. Luke, I'm going to give you 9%. And Kraft just 2, just for being there.
Kraft,
infecting him, yeah. I'm assuming it's just the fact that he was there, and the Patriots are horrible. And so maybe his presence is infecting them. I don't know. Something like that.
I'm gonna go 70 for Tatum, 20 for Drew, 10 for Mazzulla. Mazzulla has to take some blame here, but I don't think it's a Mazzulla loss. I mean, Drew Holiday, I'm a huge Drew Holiday guy. Have been since they got him. We're giving a lot of criticism to Tatum tonight. I think we got to give some criticism to Drew Holiday a little bit too. I mean,
why is Kraft in there?
Offensively, has not been given.
But
them
you have those games, Jimmy, where Tatum
enough.
and Brown get into this mode, like they were in tonight, it takes a lot of other people out of the game a little bit too, and I think that's kind of.
But
that's
defensively,
kind of
what did Holiday do for you? I mean, Max Strus is running around, doing whatever the hell he wants. You know, Mitchell's obviously having a hell of a second half. So if Holiday is your stopper, we're talking about the fact that Cleveland just scored 118 points. I got to give some blame to Holiday too. You about the offense on the defensive side, and I understand that there's 5 players out there. He can't stop all 5, but Holiday has had some games recently where I felt like he's been a little quiet. He just signed himself a massive deal. You know, how's that going to look in a couple of years? I guess we'll find out.
It's not looking good right now.
It's not looking great right now. So he has to he's got to take a bite of the pie tonight. I'm dishing out pies, and he's taking a big piece. Not as big of a piece as Tatum. Tatum gets the brunt of it, but Drew's not walking out of here unscathed.
I'm closer to Blorp's pie in this sense because I think Brown got a pass for being so good in game 1, but Tatum and Brown both didn't play with the right amount of it. They both didn't play with enough energy. Tatum's getting the bigger slice because I'm tired of this shit. Because it's been happening.
Yeah, I gotta give some to Brown. I mean, he sucked tonight too.
So I also kind of like that, which is like, I'll give a little bit there to Brown. I don't know what we were blaming Joe for, other than just being Joe. You know, if that's your thing, and you think Joe, I think some people just know Joe automatically. You know, like SATs, you get X amount of points for signing your name. Any loss. You know, Joe gets automatically a minimum
of 10
to 20%
that's not true.
of the pie.
It's the way they
every
lost.
time, because you're just always Joe has a set slice he gets every night.
If you're getting blown out, the head coach is taking a slice. I don't care if it's a sliver. The Celtics should not be getting blown out. And if they are, I'm going to look at the head coach for at least a part of that blame. If they lost at the buzzer, if it was a hard-fought game when they just lost, I'm not giving Joe any of the blame. I'm going to give Tatum a lot of it. I would like to maybe I could cut Joe's piece a little bit and maybe give Brown a little bit of it, or maybe cut a little bit of Holiday's. But you're right. Brown had such a good game 1. I'm probably being a little too nice to him in game 2, but he sucked tonight too. He didn't hit 0 for 6 from 3. He was like a minus 20 something, just like the rest of them. And so, I mean, everybody can have a slice. I'm gonna leave Luke out of this one just because I don't feel like he's important enough to
he's your third center.
Yeah, exactly.
Luke never gets blame because Luke can only be Luke. So I don't.
Nah, this is his series though, John. This is the Luke series. What happened?
He's the key.
Right.
He's the key.
Pretty much.
This is why
Luke's important
tonight.
He's somewhat
is why
important.
I don't do apology cams. Do you understand? Now,
I'm always gonna give Bob Kraft a little.
It's not like Luke proved us wrong.
Right.
He's
Apology
Luke.
cam wouldn't have aged well. Yeah.
He's Luke.
Right.
Okay.
We did that being said. We did do an apology.
View it any differently here? Heavy Tatum, heavy Brown, or all Tatum for you?
Yeah, heavy Tatum, heavy Brown. A little Drew in there.
Thank you.
Just to, I mean, he's the anchor of that backcourt.
I'm not tossing the Tristan Thompson sound. I refuse. Go ahead, guys. Sorry.
I would actually like to hear from him. I want to hear from Tristan.
Fine, give it to me. Fine. Go, Josue. Sorry.
I can't stand that guy.
Okay, so I'll give 10% to Joe. I'll do 10% to Drew. So 40 and 40 for Tatum and Brown for the Jays.
Equal? Damn. Okay.
Wow.
I mean, Tatum should get more, but because of what happened in Game 1. But these guys, they're the leaders, man. Like, I just think this is one of those games where one didn't play particularly better than the other. They're kind of just evened out. I mean, I guess you can cut them some slack for what happened in Game 1, but nah, man, these guys are the leaders. They can't put forth that type of effort in the second half. And I'm happy to see Jaylen take a lot of accountability in his post-game comments, but we got to see a change here, man. These guys have to lead the way here in Game 3.
Is Tatum speaking? Did he speak yet? Did he say
Tatum
anything?
is a no-show, much like the game on the podium.
He's still on his phone or something. I don't think he's not up there yet.
Is Tatum going to speak?
He's supposed to speak.
He doesn't.
Yeah, Brown spoke already like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So Tatum's just intentionally drawing.
We can't say much more than we've already said. Game 3 is Saturday. It's in Cleveland. Celtics once again piss away home court advantage.
Wait, hold on,
I'm mad, and I'm mad enough to play a Tristan Thompson bite, so I will.
I was
Okay,
gonna say, if Ahmed's bringing it up, he might have said something.
Here it is.
Jaylen, Jason, and I feel like
No,
you're
it's
able to
just
provide
Bobby's
some insight
obsession.
on them, just being around them and having spent that time.
Could be that too.
Yeah, no, I've definitely built a relationship with JB and Jason and Peyton and all the guys that were left here on that roster. A few of them, but we know they're going to come out and respond. I know those two. They're going to be in the gym. Probably first two guys in the gym tomorrow, getting extra shots up and probably
what is that?
Watching a lot of film because
Lamb.
they know that at the end of the day, the Celtics are going to go as far as them. So I know they're going to have extra motivation, especially being on the road. So we got to be prepared for that.
What a fraud!
I swear,
This guy is a huge fraud.
Ahmed is
waited for
right
that
now because he's telling me on top of this we also have an Okoro bite, and I'm going to lose my shit. I'm not doing this again.
Ahmed,
He played the game of his life.
Ahmed, what the hell is wrong with you?
He made every
What
shot
are
he
you guys
took.
doing out there?
All layups.
We literally said, get out of the Cavs locker room. Nobody gives a shit. Tristan Thompson is
They offered up Evan Mobley. You guys just said no,
I
absolutely.
don't want to hear from Tristan Thompson ever again.
Oh my God, they've got Yang. No, he's messing with me. Okay, Jesus Christ. All right, I can't do this anymore. I don't think you guys want us to do this anymore, so we're gonna wrap because we've said all we're gonna say, and it's not gonna get
Tough
more
crowd.
interesting. It's not gonna make you feel better. It's not gonna make
Good call,
might make you
Coach.
feel worse. Who knows what happens? Saturday, it's a whole new game. Celtics probably win by 100, and it will be in here saying it's over like idiots because we're friggin'
Jimmy will have the
dumb
hard
and
hat
keep
back.
doing this. Jimmy puts a
Oh, for
stupid
sure.
hard hat on, and there we go.
Not stupid. And by the way, we're finalizing our
Merch,
hard hat
find the
design.
merch, Jimmy.
We're finalizing the design for hard hats. They're going to be ordered, I think, maybe this weekend, and they're going to be for sale next week. There's going to be a limited supply of hard hats, folks. We're not going to be running 100 hard hats out there. So once they go for sale, they're going to go quick. That's all I have to say.
Merch it
we've
up.
got T-shirts. We've got jackets. We've got hats. The T-shirts are on order as well. Garden Report T-shirts are still available. Phenomenals have been ordered. We got a couple other designs that we're working on. So, just check out the merch store. Some things coming up here. But hard hats are going to be hot.
I'm sorry I called the hard hat stupid. I am.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
It was done out of what the hell? It was done out of anger. I lashed out. I didn't mean it. Anyway,
Okay.
we are
Yeah.
done. Thank you to Sherrod. Thank you
No,
to
they
Jimmy.
are
Thank you to
stupid. It's okay.
Josue and Bobby. They are stupid. Stupid. The Garden crew after Tatum talks are going to go up there and do their thing as well. So you'll hear from Josue and Bobby after the game. Until then, we are going to wrap it up. Feel
Saturday
free to
night.
You can also go check out First to the Floor. They're going to be going live right after this game. Check those guys out. One of the best basketball podcasts on the CLNS Media Network. They know their stuff. They're going to bring it tonight. So check those guys out. And Bobby and Josue will be live with a little Garden Report extra after-hours situation as well once they get all of their stuff together too. So more basketball content into the evening.
A lot of
If you have
basketball.
the stomach for it, there's plenty more here on the CLNS Media Network that you can consume. For us, you won't see us again till Saturday.
I'll be
Take
there.
care.
It's going to be fun.
Jimmy,
Good
show
show.
us Saturday.
Wait, Ahmed's got an outro for us, I think.
No, he doesn't.
He said he was going to work on an outro.
He had a phenomenal game.
Horford's out. I think it's an option.
That did not sound like a chair.
It was a freaking chair. It does sound like a chair.